Hello, this is Dr. Alan Yim. Today I'm going to be explaining diatonic seventh chords. So in the last videos, you watched how to build triads and seventh chords out of thirds or out of triads with either the third on top from the fifth to the seventh or the interval of the seventh from the root of the chord up to the seventh of the chord. This time it's going to be a little bit different. We're going to build the chords like the diatonic triads based on the notes of the major and minor scale. So I'll begin with major diatonic seventh chords. And in this case it's a little bit easier because we just have one version of the major scale. And I'm going to show you in C major to make it really easy. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rate the C major scale. I'm not going to repeat the C at the top because that was just going to be the same chord as what we start with. Now I'm going to put the third, the fifth, and the seventh on top of every one of those notes of the scale to build up the seventh chords. These chords are all of course in root position, and a chord is in root position when the root is the lowest note in the chord. So it's what we call the bass note. Alright, so again, all of these chords are built up of a root, a third, a fifth, and a seventh, and they're just stacked thirds in the key. Okay, if you do this, we're going to again label these with the Roman numeral for each scale degree. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now you notice some of these are uppercase. The uppercase Roman numerals look like this, and some of them are lowercase. I'm going to repeat this because I want to make sure this gets through. When you write the uppercase, you always have to put these bars when you're writing by hand. So those are the uppercase Roman numerals. The lowercase Roman numerals look like this. And when you see them printed, they look a little bit different, so don't be confused. When you see the printed version of these numbers, sometimes the 5 looks like this for uppercase, printed. But please don't write it like that because it's too close to the lowercase. So when you're handwriting it, always put the horizontal bars to really make it clear which version you're talking about. Okay, and that will avoid any confusion. Get rid of that. Okay, now I have to show you what the quality of these chords are. Well, these would be the triads. We know that 7, the triad, is diminished. So this is what we're starting with on the bottom. The root, the third, and the fifth. A major 1, minor 2, minor 3, major 4, major 5, minor 6, and a diminished 7. Now, when we add the seventh on top of it, it changes the quality a little bit. Okay, we have a major seventh, a minor seventh, a minor seventh, a major seventh, a dominant seventh, minor 7, and this one I'm going to make this circle a little bit bigger because I have to put a slash through it like that. That's a half diminished 7. Okay, so you remember the qualities of these, how they're built, I hope. If you don't remember the qualities of how these are built, just go ahead and review them. But keep in mind that the most interesting chord here, the most useful one, is the dominant 7th. Okay, and it just has a 7 by itself after the Roman numeral. When we talked about the chord symbols, watch what happens. C, major 7, uppercase M. D, minor, lowercase m, 7. E, minor, lowercase 7. F, major 7. G, this is just a dominant 7, the most important one. And A, lowercase minor 7. And B, half diminished 7. So these chords sound like this. Major 7, C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G7, that sounds like no other chord in this, A half diminished, also unique. So the most interesting chords in this probably, or the most useful ones, are G7 and the B half diminished. The other 7th chords we'll learn later. We don't use those as often in classical music. They do show up, of course, but just not as much as that dominant 7th and that half diminished 7th chord. Okay, now let's look at minor. Minor has a lot more possibilities. However, I'm going to tell you the ones that we normally use, because remember, for minor, when we compare it to major, we always lower 3. But 6 and 7, they can go up and down. And when you get to the 7th chords, you get a lot of possibilities. So we don't want to have too many possibilities. You're just going to not know what chord to use, and it can be confusing. So let's go down here so we have some space, and I'll put it here. Maybe I'll write it in, well, I'm going to put it in C minor so you can make a little comparison. I'm going to use the C minor scale. So since I'm using the minor scale, I'm going to write the key signature. Always use the relative major. Don't start with, so for example, don't use accidentals and from C major to create the minor. Rather, use the key signature for C natural minor, and then, you know, for 6 and 7, if you need to, you can raise it up. Okay, one, and there. And now again, I put the C a little bit too far away. I want this to be close enough so I can stack them. Alright, something like this. Doesn't have to be perfect, but the best you can do, try to get it in the space, and when you write thirds, they should all be touching, right? Don't leave a space between the notes, because then it's going to look like a 4th, or worse, a 5th. So I saw some today where the note was so far away it actually looked like a 5th. Okay, now I'll begin by writing the diatonic triads, the Roman numeral. So 1, 2, we know that's diminished, 3, 4. If I don't change anything here, this would be a minor 5, 6, and again, if I don't change anything here, it's going to be major. It's going to be 7. Okay, now here's where the confusion comes, because wherever you have 6 and 7, those notes could be moved. They could be moved up a half step. So 6 in the key of C minor is A flat, and of course 7 is the B flat. Whoops, and I want to highlight it, not write a line through it, so I'll just, whoops, that is too big. So let me see if I can do this. I'm just going to try to highlight the notes that we have to be worried about, and maybe I can make it a little smaller. Let's try that again. Okay, so the B flat, the A, the B flat, the A, the B flat, the A, the B flat, the A. Okay, did I get all of them? I think that's it. Okay, but let me show you now the ones that we're going to use most often. So, in the first case, well, you wouldn't raise up the 1 to a B natural, because then you would have this minor major chord. We don't use that chord, so we're going to keep that one where it is, and we'll keep it as a minor 7th. Okay, the 2, again, it's going to be if we raise up that A, we could possibly have a minor 7th. Actually, I'm going to write that down below. So that's a possibility. The other possibility is the half diminished 7. Okay, so it could either be this, that's the one that you see there, or it could be this, if you raise up that A to A natural. The next one, alright, we already know we're not going to raise that up because we get an augmented triad if we raise it to B natural. So we're going to leave it as it is. And this one here is kind of interesting because, well, this is E flat 7. Okay, so E flat major 7, like this. Okay, and now 4. Okay, this one, well, this one we're probably going to keep it as a minor 7. Okay, the other possibility would be a dominant quality, but dominant qualities are reserved for, so if we raise it up, it's going to be an F7. That's not going to be quite as useful. It could be a dominant of 7, not as often. Okay, so we're going to leave it. Now 5, we do have to raise 5 up, so I am going to put a natural sign there. So here, we want this one to be 5-7. Like that. So this one is the same as major. Okay, so this one's going to be right. We're not going to use that minor right now. This is much more useful. Next one, 6. Okay, this is going to be a major 7. So if we raise up the bottom, so right now we have this. If we raise it up, we're going to get a sharp 6. This is possible, but it will be this. It'll be a sharp 6, half diminished 7. Okay, so that's another possibility. Now, this very last one, we are again going to raise up B to B natural. And that is going to change this back to what we had in the major scale, except this time we have an A flat. So this chord is going to actually become, again, 7 diminished, but this time it's going to be a fully diminished 7. Okay, rather than, okay, so the other possibility, of course, we could raise up that and make it half diminished, but this one we don't use. Alright, I'm just going to take this one out. And the B flat, again, that could be a dominant, but that's going to be it's not going to function as 7. That would probably function as a 5 of 3. So if we put if it's B flat 7, it's going to be 5 of 3. So, well, I guess I could put that down below. So, okay. Oh, wait a second. What am I saying? Thinking of the wrong theory class. Let's leave that out because that's not for this class. Even the sharp 6, half diminished 7. Maybe you don't need to think about that right now. Okay, so let me put a little box around the ones that you should use. Okay? So that's it. Maybe just keep in mind that the most important thing when you're working with these chords is don't forget, whenever you're working in minor and you get to the 5 or the 7 chord, you have to raise that leading tone. If you forget to do that, you will have the wrong quality chord. Okay, let me play through these now. So C minor 7. Oh wait, I didn't write them. Let me go back. Okay, C minor 7, D half diminished 7, E flat major 7, F, sorry, gotta put it up here, F minor 7, G7, A flat major 7, and oh my gosh, B diminished 7, fully diminished 7. Okay, let's see if I did this right. C minor 7, that's correct. D half diminished 7, yes. E flat major 7, F minor 7, here's G7 with the raised leading tone, same chord that we had in major, A flat major 7, and then again raising up the B flat to B natural, This time B fully diminished 7. Alright, so how is this useful? Well, a couple things. If you want to write a major 7, of course this is a reminder to write a major 7th chord, think in the key that you're in, with if you're building it up from the root. So if you wanted to build up a major 7 from C, you think in the key of C. And Do, Mi, but better than that, if you're working in a key, and most of the time you will be working in a key, whenever you build a 7th chord on these scale degrees, the diatonic 7th chords, if you remember them, so here it is, there's that word again, memorize. Alright, if you memorize these, you will be able to write the chords confidently, knowing what the quality of the chord is, depending on what scale degree you're building it on. So those, again, memorize in major, it's major 7, minor 7, minor 7, major 7, dominant 7th, minor 7, half diminished. Usually the ones that are most easy to confuse is the diminished, because it's half diminished when you're in major, and it's fully diminished when you're in minor. So in minor, here it is, minor, half diminished, major 7th, minor 7th, dominant 7th, major 7th, and fully diminished 7. If you have any questions, please let me know, or you could put a comment down below. Thanks for listening, and I hope this makes sense to all of you.